Usually when I look at the precious metals, I'm looking at gold. Sometimes I do some analysis on the miners. But today I'm going to diverge from that and concentrate mostly on silver. For people that have been in the premium subscription, they've known this for a long time. But my focus for this upcoming intermediate cycle has been and continues to be silver. A couple of things are happening that haven't happened in 20 years, really. And I've covered this in some of my previous videos. Usually, it's the end of an intermediate cycle where silver will really start to outperform the rest of the sector, and that's where the big gains have come. I've been noting this for several months now that my feeling was that pattern was going to change, and that this next intermediate cycle, silver was going to lead the precious metals rather than the outperformance occurring in the last 5 to 7 weeks of an intermediate rally. This time it would start off right from the beginning and would lead all the way through. So that is what is happening here. You can see, we had this initial rally, and then we had some indecision. As I pointed out in my last video, it was hard to tell at that point how long the sideways churn was going to last, but I expected that sooner or later we were going to start to get some upward momentum, and that would be the sign that the intermediate rally was starting in earnest. And I wanted to focus on silver because I thought the momentum would begin there, and that's as you can see here, that's exactly what has happened. I warned my subscribers a couple days ago before the FOMC meeting that I thought it was important to get into positions a bit early. If you had to weather some more churn, then so be it, but you didn't want to take a chance of missing that initial thrust as the momentum got started. And as we now know, the FOMC meeting yesterday was the trigger to start that momentum, especially in silver. We got the big up day yesterday, and then we got some pretty good follow through today. So here's where we're at. We've been in this consolidation here for about 2.5, almost 3 months. And as I've noted before, the bigger and longer the consolidation, the more forceful the move is once price breaks out of the consolidation box. So silver is, at this point, it's at a resistance zone here. This was the top of the consolidation box. It is the bottom of this consolidation box right here. It wouldn't be at all unusual to either turn sideways for a few days or back off a little bit and then have to try again to push through this resistance zone. But I am, I'm positive at this point that this was an intermediate cycle low. We're starting a new, advancing phase of a new intermediate cycle. They usually don't top for 15, sometimes it can run for 20 weeks. You can see how long this intermediate cycle ran before it topped. So we're only on, I believe this is week 3. So the metals probably have anywhere from 12 to 15 weeks before we get an intermediate top. My expectation, the way this is kind of unfolding, especially in silver, this long basing pattern here, the relatively mild intermediate decline, the fact that silver did not follow gold down to lower lows, this is all exhibiting some extreme relative strength, unusual from what we usually see out of silver. And I think this bodes well for a really big move in silver over the next 3 or 4 months. And my feeling is that it isn't going to be long before silver is testing these highs here, and I think silver is probably going to test $50 before this next intermediate cycle tops. So I've tried to get the people following me to focus most of their attention in silver. The miners should do well. Also, I'm kind of expecting them to test their all-time highs as well. GDX, I believe, was about $67 at the all-time high back in 2011. I don't think that's an unreasonable target. I think it's definitely achievable during the next intermediate cycle, but I think I want to I'm going to continue to stress focusing on silver. It is leading this intermediate rally already, which, like I said, is very unusual. Typically, silver kind of comes in at the end of an intermediate cycle, and that is not happening this time. I got people in early back here just to make sure we didn't miss this surge when it happens, and it's still very early in this first daily cycle. Not unusual for a first daily cycle to recover all of the intermediate cycle decline losses. So if that holds, and I think it probably will, then this rally probably won't stop until we at least test these all-time highs here around $30 before this daily cycle tops. Now, again, that doesn't mean that we can't churn sideways for a few days here or even pull back a little bit before we can break out of this lower consolidation box and get back up into this upper consolidation box. But the intermediate cycle is low is done. So I think the odds are very slim that we're going to drop back, like deeply back into this consolidation box and have to continue churning. I think we'll probably just drift sideways or a minor pullback, and then we break through. I think price is going to continue to hold above the 50-day moving average, and the 50-day moving average is turning higher. So I think the big potential over the next 3 or 4 months, at least in the metals anyway, is definitely in silver and also in the mining stocks. I would prefer those two areas as opposed to just buying gold or GLD.